Look, the Chicago Bears, they just found a sneaky advantage. And there's something that was really underreported about this last preseason game against Miami at Soldier Field. So the Bears' end zones were painted blue. Big deal, right? Everybody was saying, wow, that looks nice. Really commenting on the aesthetics of that. I agree with that. But with our new head coach, Ben Johnson, he's looking for every possible sneaky advantage he can find, and he brought one over from his time with the Detroit Lions. So looking back to last September, I don't know if you remember this, but there was quite a bit of buzz about the Lions game against the Rams, and the popular opinion was that the end zone and back wall, they were painted to match perfectly the Lions' home uniforms. And it greatly contributed to a game-changing interception of Matt Stafford in the end zone. Now, I'm going to go through this, and well, you can't just chalk it up to conspiracy theory, because here's what Jared Goff had to say in the media after that game. So this is after the LA Rams quarterback Matt Stafford threw an ill-advised pass, resulted in a turnover, and this was a close game. The Lions ended up winning in overtime. So much discussion about how their uniform blended into the end zone at Ford Field. This was when Kirby Joseph, he intercepted Matt Stafford's pass in Detroit's opening season victory at home. So after this game, he appeared on 97.1 The Ticket, and I'm talking about Lions quarterback Jared Goff, and he was asked to weigh in on the growing conspiracy theory at the time. Like, we can call it a conspiracy theory. A lot of these things get proven to be true. Talking about that the uniform was actually intended to blend with the end zone to add to Detroit's advantage. And Jared Goff, he admitted without admitting that the Lions' uniform shenanigans were totally on purpose. And this is from Jared Goff. I don't know. It can be. I would say more. Does it match the wall behind the end zone? It's probably the better thing. So if it works, we're going to take it. So now suddenly the Bears are following suit with a new paint job, and I'm not saying this is earth-shattering, but it's yet another sneaky advantage Ben Johnson is bringing to Chicago. So let's kind of look back at this, and I think this Bears really going through. So, I don't think this is conspiracy. I think this is actually true stuff. And Kirby Joseph, he was able to intercept the veteran signal color in Detroit's season opening victory last year. And I think it looks like Stafford may not have been able to see the safety, partly due to Detroit's uniform color scheme. So here's a more detailed breakdown. So late in the second quarter, the Rams, they just got done with a brilliant 9-play, 62-yard drive to the red zone. And that's where the Rams hadn't committed a single turnover throughout the season. It was earlier in the season. But it looks like Stafford was tricked here. The Lions wore the blue and silver uniforms that perfectly matched the color not only of the end zone, but of the adjacent wall. You've got the bottoms and the tops all in that blue. I don't know if I should have said bottoms and tops. Maybe just the whole uniform was dark blue. So let's kind of look at the play. So Matthew Stafford, he was under pressure. He threw an end zone pass, and it was intended for Tyler Johnson, but it was intercepted by Kirby Joseph. And Kirby Joseph just kind of streaked across and up across the end zone. It's like obviously he was blending in with the end zone. So kind of the controversy here, obviously, the blue jerseys and helmets, they just blended in with the blue end zone and the wall padding at Ford Field. So the theory going around, like a ton of fans, ton of commentators, they suggested at the time that the color similarity made it really difficult for Stafford to distinguish the receiver and the defender. So that led directly to the interception. So tons of talk about this on social media. Here's a little closer view. Think about this play happening really quick. Him coming from the dark blue of the end zone and then popping up into the backfield wall once the pass is thrown. So definitely a lot of people jokingly accused the Lions of the time of cheating by using the color scheme to their advantage. The Lions ended up winning the game in overtime. And now the uniform color was a big topic of discussion at the time. The play and the potential camouflage, it really divided fans at the time. One ex-user said, kind of genius by the Lions. Another added home field advantage. Not everyone was impressed by it, though. Some fans actually questioned the legality of the tactics, saying, is that even legal? I mean, I think suffice it to say, whether it directly contributed to that interception or not, whether it was a huge factor, I think it is fully obvious that that's a possible advantage. And with our new head coach, Ben Johnson, he is willing to leverage absolutely anything that he can to get W's for this squad. And I think it's pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. And probably it's not going to be a constant advantage, but if you have that one single situation that it can contribute to a turnover or an incompletion or kind of swing the scales even like 1%, toward the Bears' way, definitely do it, man. And I just like the details of this. So we just got done with a Buffalo Bills joint practice. We've got a Sunday night game, I believe, coming up against the Bills as well. The Bears are going to play their starters. So let's kind of look through a few players that really showed out recently, most notably in this Bills practice as we close here. So we've been talking a lot about the connection between Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, but let's not forget about wide receiver Zacchaeus. He is solidifying himself as a number 3 target on this team. And he made a really big play on Friday during that joint practice against the Bills. He ran across the Bills. He ran a crossing route and he caught a pass right in stride, and he ended up taking the distance for the score. And Alex Shapiro, he noted at the time that the play went 55 yards in total, and it was also against all-pro cornerback Tre'Davious White. He was in coverage. He really looked like he was juked out of his shoes in that play. So if you're looking at Zacchaeus, super underrated. He absolutely does it all when he's on the field. And he's really becoming a trusted target of Caleb Williams. And I absolutely love this. And even more good news, you have Jaquan Brisker showing out. I mean, they absolutely terrorized Buffalo during this practice. And Brisker was really one of the leaders of that. He had 2 pass breakups during 7-on-7s, and that's against Josh Allen, not a scrub. And he almost had an interception on one of them. Both targets were to Dawson Knox. He also had another big breakup that resulted in a pick to Tremaine Edwards as well. So Brisker, it looks like he's back full bore. He really shined in this practice. And he also was given the Dolphins absolute fits last week in practice, and that's continuing with the Bills. And I hope that trend continues. And you can't get to this Minnesota Vikings game quick enough to hear from Edmonds. He made a lot of big plays, but Brisk, he's been doing that all camp, to be honest with you. He's been having a big-time camp. I take my hat off to him. His attention to detail, his ability to find the ball and make his presence felt, that has been big. So now that we're talking about linebackers, let's check in with Tremaine Edwards and Ruben Hippolyte. I love hearing that name because that means he's starting to distinguish himself as the number 3 linebacker on this team. So the reserves and the starters had a solid day against Buffalo. Tremaine Edwards, he actually had a nice play that I was just talking about against his former team. And then also that was against Allen in the red zone during 11-on-11. So that was Allen's 3rd pick of the day, actually. And then Ruben Hippolyte, he stood out for an interception of his own. He picked off backup Mike White, read the pass really well, had it all the way. And both players, moments of success in practice. They're starting to ramp up. And I think you're looking for a bounce-back season for this whole defense under this Dennis Allen scheme. I absolutely love it. I think it's going to be aggressive. It's going to be more man-to-man based instead of these soft zones that you saw Flus run, especially towards the end of games. And Dennis Allen's mentality is just kick the guy's butt in front of you. Fully on board with this. So kind of participation and injury updates here. Case Keenum, the number 3 quarterback on this team, he didn't practice. He had a leg injury. He's considered day-to-day. And that happened on Thursday. 37 years old. He was playing with the 3rd-team unit. I think there's no doubt that Tyson Bagent is going to be the number 2 here. Absences as well. Jalen Johnson, we knew that. Kyler Gordon still getting over that hamstring. That's tough. Travis Homer was out with a calf. Roschon Johnson still with a foot injury. Center Doug Kramer with a foot. And amen, our linebacker is out with a shoulder. So, hey, I cannot wait for this game. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. You guys are fantastic. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's a huge blessing. And I'm going to be giving you Chicago Bears news on the daily moving forward, as I always have. Bear down, you guys, and we'll talk soon. Let's beat Buffalo.